This presentation is being brought to you by the Tipton Auto Group, Brownsville's oldest continually operating automobile dealership. History Central is proud to receive underwriting from this respectable name in the industry. By virtue of their presence in this market for over a century, beginning with their association with the Ford brand in 1923, they made history in a major way for South Texas. Hello. I wanted to give a special introduction to this video piece that's coming up because it is of very great importance in the whole picture of things in the evolution of Brownsville. It pays homage to the real estate brokers and the contractors, the house builders that built up our city after the Second World War. Now, mind you, there was a great demand for housing after the boys started coming home because they were building lives for themselves and getting married and they needed homes. So this little period right here from say 1945 on up into the 80s is what this covers, is a classic period, and there were some very, very big characters in there, wonderful people. So I hope you enjoy this piece. I'm going to introduce my guest here today, a lifelong friend, Larry Jokel. And he's been in the real estate business for how long now?
56 years.
56 years.
And I'm only 40 years old.
Yeah, I bet you. Yeah, you were just prenatal.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, I drew upon you as my first choice in trying to figure out on subject matters what this particular podcast is going to be about. And the subject matter is quite weighty. I mean, the development of Brownsville post-World War II and all of the major realtors, the real estate brokers that were in the picture for the various subdivisions. Aren't we dealing with a heck of a subject here?
Very much so. And also you need to include all the builders.
The builders, yeah.
Involved in the development of Brownsville, Texas post-World War II.
Right. Now, so it's all one interdependent circle, symbiotic relationship in that you had builders, you had the real estate brokers, the real estate agents for that matter, and the contract. Well, just the whole scene there was quite dynamic. Who do you think is now, if you're going back to the 50s, okay, late 40s, who do you recall?
Well, late 40s, I wasn't around. But the dean for all of these guys we're going to talk about today is going to be W. Vernon Walsh.
Oh, my God.
He goes back into the early 50s.
Uh-huh.
He was really the father of a lot of these real estate brokers that we'll talk about.
The brokers themselves,
He trained them. Bob Fowler was one of them, and then Hank Lindhorn and Phil Baldoff.
Okay.
And then came Bill Nussbaum.
Okay. C.F.E. Ingram.
Ingram, I think, worked for a while with Phil Baldoff.
Yeah.
And then, of course, came Alton Glore, who was here. Then you get into the later guys. But the earlier ones who...
That's the construction aspect. House builder is Alton Glore, yeah.
Oh, yeah, no question.
Yeah, I mean, he actually built half of Brownsville in the 50s and 60s and the 70s. Is Vance Wilson involved in that? The birdhouses?
Vance came later. So there were a number of them who began to build various areas. The first one, of course, in the modern area would have been Ebony Heights.
Ebony Heights. Okay, let's start off with that. That was in the late 50s.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And those were what we called military homes at the time, because they were all little frame houses that were built by Glore. And,
so Ebony Heights was Glore.
Was the other one.
Joe Walsh, exactly.
Yeah. They started to build in these small homes. My mother and dad bought one of those houses.
Out in Ebony Heights.
Of
$1,800
for it.
Good Lord. It was almost like a catalog house there. Ebony Heights, and that was the boys coming back from the war.
Correct.
And then wasn't Phil Ellickson with Central Park? That was war houses too, right?
Right behind Palm Village.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's quite a demand for homes coming through.
Yeah, because you had those guys were all veterans and could buy them under the veterans program.
Yeah.
And most of them sold that way.
Hey.
And, they were building as fast as they could. They didn't have all the material they needed.
Yeah.
To build, because you were still just on after war footing and go from there.
Now, when they said after the war, there was another scandal in town that involved Rio Viejo. Remember that? And they were supposed to be war homes
but the guy pulled a fast one on him and built high end. And it went before city council, city commission, and he said, yeah, you're fraudulent in what you're trying to represent here. And he says, but look what we got for Brownsville. And they said, all right, never mind.
Yeah, that was in probably the early 60s is when they began that. Very early, 1959, 60 is when those began to be built.
Yeah, and they were boxes, right?
Yeah, they were. I mean, they were still decent homes.
Yeah, because I lived in them.
Yeah, they were upscale for what we had at that point in time.
Yeah.
Now look,
right.
They literally go in and buy the old properties, tear the houses down, and build new ones.
Rio Viejo is sadly famous for that right now.
Sure.
What is your favorite subdivision that you saw develop and you were following afterwards?
Bob Fowler and a number of guys, and they made me the gopher. Developed Rio del Sol. But
Rio del Sol.
Yeah.
Yes, right over here.
So yeah. And before we did that, myself and 3 other guys developed Horseshoe Lake subdivision.
Horseshoe.
Out by the airport.
Okay. Now you got Acacia Lake out there.
Well, yeah, this is on past Acacia. It would be southwest of Acacia Lake.
Okay.
It's in behind the Norton Company.
Oh yeah. Well, I'm out there because my nursery's out there.
Okay.
Quite a lot.
That's where Horseshoe went.
Yeah.
And then we sold off the last piece of it because the economics in the area was beginning to falter. So we decided to just forget building out the rest of it. And so we sold that to some people, and they built it out, and that's fine. Took them a few years, but they built it out.
Yep. Do you remember the all-electric homes on 511, speaking of Rio del Sol?
Well, those were all-electric were the ones that were just off of Old Port Isabel Road, way out there.
Yeah.
And, there were like 3 or 4 of them.
Yeah, there were 4 of them,
And that's,
I had a girlfriend that lived in those.
Really?
Yeah.
And that's, they didn't last long.
There weren't any more developed. There weren't any more buildings. There were only 4, and then that was it.
That was it.
Who was ahead of that project, do you think?
Don't remember.
Okay. Now, Rio del Sol, that's interesting because I live right here. Me into my adolescence, I had my horse, and so that's the route that I used to ride with my horse all the time. And I saw the all-electric homes, and then I think it was in in the late 60s, going 65, 66, and mind you, from 67, I was in New Orleans, so I didn't, and I came back, and boom, whammo, there was a whole subdivision of Rio del Sol out there.
That's correct.
Who was the ringleader behind that?
Bob Fowler.
Bob Fowler.
Yep.
Hi. And so he brokered that.
He was building homes. His wife Helen was building homes out there.
Aye. Okay.
And then had some other builders out there built out most of it. And then we had a lot of Resaca frontage there.
Yeah, right. That's the same Resaca I have here.
That's correct.
Yeah.
And it was built out, sold off the last of it. We had some people come in and said, hey, will you sell the land? And Bob says, well, I don't know. And he said, well, how much do you want? And he told him how much he wanted on a per acre for the remainder of the land. The guy says, who do I make the check to?
Wow. Okay. Now, it has Canadian names in there, Saskatchewan.
It was from up north originally.
Oh, that's what I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
Where was he from?
Yep.
Yeah.
And came down here to go in the radio business at KBOR.
Oh, that was Minor Wilson and all that.
Uh-huh. And he lasted there a little while, then went into real estate.
I'll be
Was the dean of real estate in Brownsville for years with some of the other guys that we've talked about. And we'll talk about.
Yep. Now, with you, I heard a story about how you got in the business, and that was like they grabbed you by the scuff of the neck and then say, this is what you're going to do. Who did that?
Well, I was working for Sakowitz in Houston.
Okay.
And they were going to expand. And they were going to expand into Amarillo.
Oh.
Otherwise known as the North Pole.
Yeah, there's only a barbed wire fence between them and the North Pole.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Or into the Phoenix, Arizona area.
Hey.
And Stockdale. And so they sent me to both places. Well, I would have been the youngest stud you ever saw in that area.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because it's all retirement.
Forget it. So I went back, and I'd been trained by Mr. Tobe and Mr. Simon Sakowitz. And
okay.
I owe everything I have to those guys beside Bob.
That's quite an organization.
Oh, they were. And they had a son, Robert Sikowitz, who he and I never agreed on anything.
Hey, uh-huh,
And he was just a young stud.
uh-huh.
You know, money talks and you know it walks.
Yeah,
And so that
too
was
proud.
it. Yeah. And so they passed on, and business, I could begin to see it dwindling a little bit.
Yeah.
And it was a gorgeous store. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, well, Sakowitz, I remember that well.
Yeah, Neiman Marcus of
Yep.
Houston.
Yep.
And Neiman's was right across the street. Anyhow.
Yeah, San Antonio.
And I came home for a weekend, and Bob knew me and knew me well since I was a kid.
Yeah.
He calls me up and he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Nothing, I'm home for a weekend." He says, "Come on over, I'm going to buy you a drink." And
Yeah.
so he made the meanest Cuba Libre you ever saw.
Oh, well, then he
So we
deserves
sat-
his place in heaven.
Yeah, and so we sat and talked, and he asked me a question. He said, "What do you know about real estate?" And I said, "Nothing."
Huh?
He says, "You want to get into it?" I said, "What does it pay?" He goes, "Nothing."
I
not-
highly recommend it.
You're not going to starve either.
Yeah.
So
So where was his office at the time? Was it on Central Boulevard or was it on West Elizabeth?
West Elizabeth.
West Elizabeth, yeah.
West Elizabeth. And so we were out at the house though. And he said think about it. So I thought about it, and I figured I wasn't going anywhere with Sakowitz. So
The timing was right.
and yeah, so I came back. I resigned. Sakowitz had a fit.
I bet you.
Bobby was happy, but Sakowitz had a fit. Anyhow, I left, came home.
What year was that?
68.
68, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
68, late 68, early 69. And so I went to every school they had at that point in time. I was the most educated idiot you ever saw.
In real estate,
In
learning
real
the
estate.
trade, huh?
Uh-huh. And Bob.
Where were these schools? I mean,
Yeah, there were some here. I had to
Here?
go. I had to go to San Antonio and Houston for schools, but that's where he sent me. Bob sent me to every school there was.
I'll be.
There really was. And so I went, and he was paying me a whopping $50 a week to drive.
Oh
him around
my! I
and
don't know
learn.
what you would have been on the streets with $50 a week in your hands.
That was big money at the time.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
And so he taught me everything there was, and there's a lot of in betweens that we're not going to talk about, but it's just one of those things. And so I got started.
Imagine the graciousness of that man to reach out and he saw somebody that he wanted
He
to
saw the
nurture.
potential in me.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was it. And
Right.
he knew my folks well. They
Yep.
were all very close.
Yep.
And so I got started. And then all of a sudden, I did a couple of small commercial deals, and they were there. And Bob figured, wait a minute, we got somebody here who knows what he's doing.
Oh, good.
And then we had some of the big boys from Dallas came down. And wanted to begin the development down here, and so he sicked them on me. And
Who's a big boy from Dallas? Who would that have
one
been?
of them was I can't think of his name at the moment, but I will.
Uh-huh.
Anyhow, so we went out and started looking at property,
Yeah.
and he bought 3 pieces of property in Brownsville. And he says, "Larry," he says, "it looks like you needed some help, so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to split your fee with me."
Yeah.
And so he went back and he talked to Bob, and Bob said, "Hey, whatever you want to do."
I mean,
And, so that's how I got started in it.
yeah.
And they were very lucrative.
I
Very
bet you.
lucrative.
I bet you. What parcels were those 3?
Well, I had one that was out off of Paredes and Paredes and Price. And Price wasn't
Oh.
really there at the time. That's
Oh,
where the
yeah.
first apartments were built.
Yes.
And
Yes.
he built 3 sets of apartments.
Okay.
Each better than 100 units.
I'll be.
And we grew from there.
Good God.
And then I had we got wind that in the late 60s that there was going to be we had a developer coming in who wanted to build a mall in Brownsville, Texas.
Oh yeah.
Right beside Simon's Mall at Amigoland.
Okay.
And the deal was that I had Sears. I was managing the Sears building and the Penny's building downtown.
Uh-huh.
And I was told that if I could get Sears to go
Kind of an anchor. Right.
as an anchor in
Yep.
in this shopping center, it would be built.
So you went and actually you did the marketing effort in order to get the tenants to go into these properties?
Correct. And it's a long story.
I bet you.
I did the first Sears Kmart mall in the United States.
Oh, yeah, because they were in that Amigoland, and then
They were in no.
yeah, Sunrise.
Montgomery Ward was in Amigoland.
Yeah, uh-huh.
And so the first Sears Kmart was not here yet.
Yep.
And we did the first Sears Kmart. Again, it's a story in itself of how it got done.
Yeah.
But it got done.
Yeah,
And,
right. That's a monumental effort.
We threw Bell's in there as a third anchor.
Yeah.
And the mall got developed and was there until it was sold a couple of times. and it's owned by a company out of Tennessee.
Yeah. Now, let's back up just a little bit to hit upon a person I'm sure you're very familiar with, and that was Carnesi with the Moguls land.
Oh, yes.
Where he that's a developer in a sense. He put a lot of effort in that.
Huge effort.
Yeah.
It's just timing wasn't there for that project. We had gone through financial crisis in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
Same applied to Mexico.
Yeah, devaluation came through.
Correct. And it was a unique situation. And bless his heart, Tony was brilliant.
Yeah, I like Tony.
Tony was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
He tried everything in the world.
Visionary.
Very much so.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we all bought stock. In fact, I found my stock certificate just the other day.
Well, good thing. Yeah, go down to the bank.
And I've kept it, keep it all these years.
Carnesi and all of that is an extremely interesting project because it was grandiose. I mean, it was like a mini Disneyland here, right?
Correct.
Did it ever involve Disneyland people, or did they get the attention thereof, or what?
Yes, it did. Do any of us know who all came in? Did Disney himself? I have no idea.
Yeah.
He and Tony took that to the grave.
Oh,
and,
anyway, with obvious reasoning.
Yeah, very few people knew. Word got around that he was here, and I believed it. But was it going to happen? Gene, who knows?
Yeah, right.
We'll never know.
Yeah, because if you think about the timing of that, that was in what year? In the late '60s, right? For Amigoland?
Late '60s, early '70s.
Okay.
Yes.
Well then, I didn't do my research to figure out where in Orlando came in the picture, but Disney was trotting around trying to do these projects. He was very energetic at the time. Well, now of the stars, say of the California Hollywood area right there, I heard a rumor remember Playa del Rio was cranking up.
Yeah, that was Porchy Grady.
Porchy Grady, he lived right across the Rosaki here. I heard that George Gobel was ratting around the area or something like that, and again trying to buy parcels in somebody else's name. Have you heard anything like that?
No, that one I never heard.
Yeah. I'm going to hit upon a couple of different progressive times in Brownsville because Brownsville Brownsville grew in leaps and bounds, but it's predictable what caused that leap, right? Okay, after the war, you had the hydrocol plant, you had the Stanland, you had Amoco, and the petrochemical industry started from just a little spot on Jackass Flats, and then it grew on up. Now, you come into the picture right about the time of Union Carbide, right?
Correct.
Now, Union Carbide's home building requirements for that put a demand on your industry, didn't it?
Correct. Remember, in the late 40s, early 50s, there was no subdivisions. There was nothing.
Yeah.
Across Boca Chica Boulevard.
Boca Chica Boulevard, yes. Yeah.
It was all south of it. And then
that was a line of demarcation.
Yeah, all of the industry began to show up.
Yeah.
And that's when the Heights and Russell area and were all being built.
You're right.
You had to have it.
And then you came on more to the west, and then you had the Crestview come into picture. And a lot of Carbide people were in Crestview,
That's
right?
correct.
Yeah.
You had that, and then you began to expand in some of the little larger subdivisions.
Such as?
Well, if you got into it, you would have had over on the west side, you would have had off of Brownsville and that area over there, those are a little bit bigger homes than what Crestview had.
Yeah.
And then you were beginning to move out into some of the other areas that were building a little bit bigger homes. And
right.
That's when Glore started building.
Glore, oh God! I mean, round figure, how many homes do you think Glore built in his career?
A bunch.
Yeah, it goes into the thousands, really.
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah,
easy. And Al Glore was something else. I remember he was going to build Land O'Lakes subdivision, which was that's one, and then he was going out and he bought the other one, which is out off of now called Alton Glore Boulevard.
Yeah, right.
And the city came back to him and said, look, he said, we need another east-west access in Brownsville, and will you build it on the south side of your property, just off Alton Glore, if you can picture where it is, where some of the schools are now. And so he says, well, where's it going to go? He said, well, it's going to go from the freeway over to Paredes Line Road.
Okay. Yeah.
And he says, I'll do it, but you've got to get all the other property owners in there to agree to do it.
Yeah.
And so
Was Cardenas involved in that? Some landowner in that? Or was that a little bit further
no,
over? That was
further north.
Yeah.
But anyhow,
Mm-hmm.
I called him up and says, hey, I've got to go to the city because they're pushing me to do the street.
Mm-hmm.
All the other property owners agree. He says, I don't know. So we go to city commission meeting, and he was fiery. He had a fiery disposition. A great man, brilliant man.
Yeah. He looked like an Easter egg.
Yeah. Anyhow, we get to city commission, and they said, Mr. Galore, we want you to build this road. He says, what did the other property owners say? And they didn't answer.
Oh, come on now.
And he said, you think I'm going to build a road from this end to nowhere? You're out of your ever-loving blank mind.
Yeah.
And he said, I'm not doing it.
Well, that was an absurd proposition to begin with, wasn't it?
It was indeed absurd.
Yeah.
It really was.
And who was the mayor at the time? Well, I mean, you don't have to tell me that.
I don't remember.
Yeah. Well, and then the rest is history, because all of that area out there
grew like no tomorrow.
Now, growth going out in that region, I remember when there was a competition between your Amigo land and your Sunrise. And then Sunrise won out. The Sunrise Bank and all of that. The partners that went into that. So I'm sure that once that started rolling, then he could see, oh, yeah, well, all of this is prime area out there. How did he get the name on there? Well, he built it, I guess, right?
Who? Al Galore?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
all of it. Every bit of that was his. He sold off little pieces, but he kept all of it. Built it out. Now his son is just finished up.
Yeah.
Basically the last of it.
Yeah. The last of it, you say, after all these years. I did some research on the Paso Real. It was the old stagecoach, what we call Old Alice Road.
Mm-hmm.
And that went right on through on the eastern boundary of that. And I remember I was talking to one of the Galores, and he said, the sons, right? And he said that, we were involved in a lot of the logistics on how that whole thing structured. So I'm like you said, I'm sure that they still have their fingers in some of the property out there.
They do, and of course now you see where you have the new subdivision out there, 1,100 acres across from Rancho.
Okay, that's Dennis Sanchez and his compadres.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the cute part about that was owned by
Benson
family.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of work for the Bensons.
Yeah.
And
did you knew how Benson came about that, right? From
well, it was a family thing, almost 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And he acquired it, kept it, and I had a contract on it because we wanted to build a big golf course and because Rancho wasn't ready yet.
Yeah,
and
that's Bass.
Halfway ready. Yeah, Bass and over whoever else. Anyhow, he says, I want 3 drill sites on this property.
Drill sites?
Yeah, because he kept all of the
rental rights.
Yeah, everything. And that's going, Mr. Benson, I said, you can't put a golf course.
Yeah,
I'm going to have drill rights on this.
Well, this is Texas.
You can't put any type of wells on there because you're in the city, or you will be in the city.
Yeah.
And he looked at me. He said, "Well, we'll see." We had to walk away from it. And the guys who bought it evidently have drill rights from the Benson estate.
I'll be.
So I don't know where they are or how they are, but they're there. And but they're building it out. It's gonna be beautiful.
Oh yeah, no, that's a serious project. Who it was you had the one that married the Sams. It wasn't Leitner, but it was the other one. Who's that?
Porter?
Yeah, that's Porter Wentz.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had that in the process, and then I think Dennis and his crew came through and bought it from them. But you know why? Because they had a bad cotton season at that time, and that's why we got to jettison this. I thought it was rather odd that Benson came down to this part of the country, because he's normally further up in the north part of the valley, the upper part of the region.
Yeah, no, he owned a lot of property here.
Yeah. Let me hit on a couple of names here. We did Fowler, Hank Lindhorn.
Hank was something else. He's a brilliant man. He sold a lot of properties in this town.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Did he do any developments? He was more the seller of properties for those guys who were going to build.
Oh, okay.
And he did extremely well.
Yeah, right.
Very.
He left an endowment for the Masonic temple. It was Choke a Horse.
Because he had no children.
Yep.
He only had the niece.
Mm.
And he built a building. He gave us some money to build the building of the board. Brownsville.
Oh yeah, that was that house out there on Central Boulevard.
Yeah, well, we tore the house down. He built a brand new building for
Oh,
us.
okay. Was that his house or was this his office house back in those days?
Neither. Well, he had an office in there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, up on the second floor.
Uh-huh.
And he built the building, left us some money, built the building, did a lot of good work in this town. Lots of good work.
Yeah.
And I really liked Hank very much so. Learned a lot from that man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad to have seen and received your perspective on all of this because and it must have been interesting for you in a real estate sense because you saw the growth of the growths, all of that period you're talking about in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and the 90s, and now it's a whole different story, right?
Oh, it is. We went through some very difficult periods of time in those years because of the economics and because of devaluation.
Yeah, our economic partner with Mexico and all that.
Oh, yeah. And we still rely heavily off of Mexico.
Yep.
And probably now maybe more so, depending on what's going to happen. You and I don't have no idea.
No, we don't have a clue.
Happen. Yeah. And so that's where we grow, and that's where we go. So we're just, the future is the future.
Yeah.
And we have no idea. Right now, those who are in real estate are going to do very well. For how long?
Right.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you a sensitive question. Is the science of realty, is that changing? Will you always have real estate agents and brokers out there?
I'm going to say yes, because is it going to be any different? You still have the one-on-one you have to have. That's all there is to it.
Yeah.
And are you going to have?
Well, think about what you had. Yeah, right. Think about what you had to do and what the people now have to do in order to even get their license. And the guy on the street can't do that and get on his computer and say, "I want to buy a home. Let's see what's available." And the one-on-one is not there, so I wouldn't go for that. Yeah, I think you're safe in your endeavor.
Yeah, for the next bunch of years, probably yes.
Yeah.
After that, can you do one-on-one? Yes, you can.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there are those. I would imagine the consumer, in a major sense, would not feel comfortable with anything other than that.
That's correct.
Okay, Larry, I just really appreciate your coming and doing this interview on a vital part of Brownsville's history and its future too. So I really admire your expertise and what you've seen in the marketplace here. So just like I say, my hat goes off to you.
Thank you, sir.
All of that. All right, we're going to wind it up now, and in my podcast series, this was vital. This was one of the first ones that I structured into my program for obvious reasons. What you've just seen on this interview here is a part of our history in a major sense, and this podcast module will be put into the archives to serve for viewing and learning for people in our future. So I really appreciate your paying attention to this. And thank you very much then. Good day.